that we can work with you. I've been working with your organization, the RPA, the farmers, GRDB, NDI, everybody, to ensure that we have this and are prepare the land and get it done properly. Let me pause to welcome our Vice President and General Secretary, Comrade Jagdeo. So I was saying, yes, so we'll work with you, we'll ensure that we try to put all systems in place. We know for a fact, as I mentioned, that we are working and making more allocation to ensure that we mitigate the flooding condition, but we have had rainfall almost non-stop from since earlier this year. And that is why we are now in this period where the land is very, very bad. I am hoping that we can have fair weather later on in the month and we can start to prepare the land. We'll work very closely with you. I've talked to our NDIA staff to see what more can be done to ensure that we drain the land as quickly as possible. But although we drain the land is still in a bad shape in terms of what we did to reap the rice, to get the crop out of the field. So rest assured we will continue to work with you. I know for a fact that you have been very patiently waiting for the Vice President to come here. Both myself and Minister Manishan will speak already to you. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you our Vice President and General Secretary of the PPP, Comrade Jagdeo.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that you've heard quite a few speeches already, and Sophie must have outlined to you all our plans in the agricultural sector. So let me apologize for being a bit late. I did not anticipate that a meeting in Canal we would have had so many issues. So we had to spend time listening to people. We didn't want to just go there and run off. And so that's why I sent ahead Sophie and Bria to come and talk to you. And I'm sure by now they would have mentioned to you the key purpose of us being here today and why we wanted to be here. So apart from generally talking about agriculture and issues of drainage and irrigation and farm to market roads, I was going through those in great detail with the people of the canal area, because every season they're flooded out, almost every season. And I pointed out to them how structurally we're going to address the concerns by putting in additional capabilities for us to manage more water. And given climate change now, that will happen with greater frequency. So what you see now, the change weather pattern with large amounts of rainfall falling in very short period, is here to stay with us. Can go back to the past when in January, the whole month you'll get 7 inches of rainfall. Now you get 7 inches in a single night. And to manage that, if you don't have storage, it will come onto the lands. So we have limited storage along the coast because most of the areas are cultivated. So the only way you can deal with this large amount of water coming from these deluge, like heavy rainfall, is to either have greater gravity flow or put in pumping capability, and which is what we're doing right across the country. We have ordered a lot of equipment to come in, mobile units as well as fixed units for several areas in this region so that we can manage more water. In the long run, that's the only way you can address agriculture. So we also have major problems, as you know, because of COVID. So even if you order equipment today, because the factories that produce the tractors and excavators and pumps around the world, and even vehicles, they were closed because of COVID. So you have a long waiting time. Some people told me as much as 2 years they put in an order now to get the things that they could have gotten in 3 months in the past, because they have to wait before those factories are open up and they ramp up production. So it's been a big challenge, not only on the equipment side, but on the cost of living side. You've seen the same thing happen for a lot of the building materials, food stuff, because once the factories were closed or people were not farming, and a lot of the things that we import now, they're simply not there. And so prices have gone up. So we're still trying to address that issue in a major way. But coming back to the purpose of our engagement with you and why we needed to do this. As you know, the government, since it got into office, has been busy trying to deal with the pandemic. This is a once-in-a-lifetime issue, and we had to keep our people safe. A lot of our efforts, we did not expect this when we campaigned, but when you run the country, you have to deal with whatever you're handed. And so when we came into office, this pandemic was raging. It could have killed quite a few more people because if we hadn't addressed it. And that is why if you see the aggressive approach that we've taken, the rebuilding the hospital and ICU and putting in oxygen and a capability to manage the disease, the pandemic, and increasing testing capabilities from 40 a day when we got into office to now 5,000 a day. We have a capability. And also getting vaccines. When the world did not want to give us vaccines, now we have 80% of our people vaccinated. So that has given us some herd immunity and lowered some of the death rate. And so we have done better than many developed countries. I was pointing out that the US has more than twice the amount of deaths from COVID than we've had on a per capita basis. That is, as it relates to the size of the population. So we've had to deal with those issues aggressively and also try to assist people to get back to jobs. Remember, the country was shut down. 35,000, 40,000 people couldn't go to work, managed to get them back to work. We're trying to get those who were laid off under APNU back to work. And then we tried to help. So the COVID assistance was given out. And our experience there was very instructive. When we tried to give assistance to people, remember we had to go to nearly 300,000 houses in the country. And in some cases, most of it went well. But some people tried to cheat the system. They tried to cheat the system. And some people may not, who are legitimately entitled, didn't get. And the same thing happened again when we sought to give the flooding assistance. That you had about 70,000 people in this country, over 70,000, who are going to get help because of the heavy rainfall and the floods, nearly $8 billion of help. And again, we saw the same thing, because we can't go and check 70,000 people. But we, the party, got the blame for it. When you go on the ground and people don't do their work, or one person gets who doesn't deserve, and another person who deserved it didn't get it, we take the heat. And it is now we announce some help to the fishermen, and that's the same thing. We're trying to put in place a robust system. And so the same thing when the president announced we had set aside $5 billion at budget time to assist people with cost of living and to help the farmers, basically, because the cost of input had gone up. The price of oil moved from $28 in 2015 to now it's about $120 per barrel. So from $28 to nearly $120 US dollars. So you use oil, gas to make fertilizer. So once that goes up, then everything will go up. We remove the taxes, as you would have pointed out, on fertilizer. We remove it on pesticides, machinery and equipment, as we had promised. We remove the 50% tax on gasoline and diesel, and yet the prices went up because of the cost of acquisition. So we know that it had impacted the farmers a lot, and that's why we wanted to assist with the fertilizer. That is why the $1 billion set aside for the country to assist both cash crop and the rice farmers. So we wanted to avoid some of the mistakes that we had, or the cheating we had in the past. And we decided when we went to Region 2, 5 and 6, they're the big rice growing areas. 3, yes, we have some rice, but on a smaller scale, and Region 4. And what we've done in each of these regions, we set up a committee of between 25 to 30 persons, as Zulfi would have pointed out, who will take the $100 million allocated to this region, and they will then decide. This committee made up, you will choose the people, will decide where we buy the fertilizer, who gets it, and all of that. So this will make a big difference to people here. It will lower the cost of the fertilizer, or you will get some free fertilizer. And we want you to manage it, so when, at the end of the day, if you help to choose the people, you also share the blame. We don't get the blame alone in the PPP all the time. That when we try to help, everything we get blamed for. You give one set, you give the sugar workers some money, and then another set of sugar workers see they get money, then they go on strike for money. It's all, but they didn't strike in 5 years of APNU. They got 0, 0, 0 in all the 5 years. No salary increase in 5 years. But everybody now, EP in office, several strikes since we got into office in the sugar industry. We're afraid to even strike. So we have a lot of that going on. I don't want the party to fall in the middle of all of this. And that is why today, that was a primary purpose, but there are lots of other meetings we'll have to talk about farm to market roads. APNU cut the budget, capital budget. So in 2014, we were spending more money in the capital expenditure in this country than in 2020 and every single year between. And if you look at what is capital expend, when you budget for capital, what do you spend it on? It's the roads, the bridges, the hospitals, the schools, the sea defenses, the market, farm to market roads. It's these things that you spend. So they were not budgeting on the capital side. So a lot of deterioration in infrastructure, community roads, everything deteriorated. So there's a huge backlog. If you look at the TV, wherever I go, people are upset. They want their roads done, everything done. Because I can understand their feeling. They waited a long time. And so we are busy trying to address that this year. We put $2 billion in this region for community roads. We probably increase that because in every single area, just from Belwest all the way to probably Parika back, we have communities that have problems with their roads, major community road problems. I was in Essequibo Coast. I showed them the graph on drainage and irrigation and farm to market roads, the budget of the region. The graph was 2014 here, and by 2020 it's here. How much money was allocated for these things? So we've had to come in and reverse that immediately. We've allocated more money for farm to market roads, drainage and irrigation. We just awarded 2 contracts in A-line and canal for sluices there that will cost $1.3 billion alone to help with flooding. We're doing the B-line, we're doing potential, all these areas to get more water out. And that's just there. We're now, the road from Crane, you see that will cost us $12 billion, the bypass road. We just tendered that 4-lane from Crane going around the bypass, the Vivian Hoop area, and go straight out to the bridge. Right, not Schooner. We're going a little bit for the opposite the bridge now. We're coming out, and so that's $12 billion alone for that. But that will change all the heavy traffic that people experience, and we've just awarded a contract for $261 million to build a high-rise 4-lane bridge across the river so you don't have all these issues of opening and everything else. So major, on the other side, a contract from Ogle for $106 million to Eccles so you can get into the city quickly. We're building another road from Georgetown to Diamond, another 4-lane. You have 12 lanes going into the city. Make a huge difference in this area. The gas to energy project at Wales. Here, at this area here, just offshore in the Crane area, going back to the mouth of the river, we're going to have a massive investment offshore to service the oil and gas industry that will allow us to shift a lot of the business out of Trinidad here, and they would be able to bring in the cargo, container ports and everything just here. So this region is poised for takeoff. That will generate thousands of jobs just here and at Wales because of the gas to energy project and also the development of an industrial estate for fertilizer plant and all of these things. Cooking gas, we'll be exporting hopefully in 2-3 years time, cooking gas that we import now. All of those plans are being rolled out as we speak. So a lot of work is being done in these areas. We're fulfilling our promises to the pensioners. We already increased pension by 40%. We said we'll do so, with double old age pension in the 5 years. Increase the school kids grant to $50,000 per year for every school child. That happened took away. We're busy at this sort of thing. And the farmers are not left out, as Zulfi would have pointed out to you. It's not just making more competitive and supporting the traditional crops. You have to support rice and the others. But we're opening up new areas in the Berbice area and Linden, the hemp industry, looking at growing hemp so that the sugar workers who are displaced there, they have employment opportunities. The intermediate savannas, mentioned to you about corn and soya, about exploration on wheat, on cash crop, on livestock. So agriculture becomes as important as the oil and gas sector. And that is so crucial because look at the world, every country that has had oil and gas and that has not been careful, after a number of years, they end up poorer than when they started. Look at Venezuela. 3 million barrels per day and now no food. So we're not going to make the same mistakes. And all of those who say, spend out the money, they think we have a lot of money too. We got in the first 2 years about $350 million a year. The bridge alone, that bridge alone is $261 million, but we have to fix it for the future. Once that's done for the next 50 years, we don't have to worry about river crossing and anything else. There are permanents. Then it takes minutes to come. We can then open up. The new plan is to spend about $300 million to connect the bridge again to Parika at the back, so that we open up thousands of acres of new land for agriculture and housing and to build the connector roads. That's the next phase that may start. First phase is linking Crane to the bridge and then going there. So it would be easier to move between the regions. Containers, traffic, business, hotels on this side, everything. So as farmers too, I expect you will look at these issues because the region will change. It will change. You have more demand. A lot of the farming lands now that you're on and you're growing rice will become much, much more valuable as the hotels and the gas to energy project and the other things start here, because people will want those lands for industrial purposes. Don't sell your land out now for cheap, because a lot of people are hunting to buy land for cheap now that they hope, because they know what the plans are. So make sure that people come to you and offer what seems like a good price now will go even higher in the future. Because you have a lot of, I've seen an attempt by some big people to buy up a lot of lands in the region because they know what's coming. So particularly the farmers. So I want you to be plugged into all of these things that's happening at the national level too. Stay away from the populist thing. You have a government that has always been accused of being pro-agriculture. And we don't have any apology to make. It shows the foresight of the PPP, because today the world needs food. And we are one of those countries that can produce food. We're fortunate in that we produce a lot of what we consume. The Caribbean islands, many countries run out of food now. They may have the money, as we pointed out elsewhere. And we intend to stay that way. We have to take care of our country and our people to make sure, and agriculture and food security an important area. So you're going to have all the help for the farming community in this country. There are things we can control, like the global price for fuel and all of that. But there will be a time when we will be able to produce and displace a lot, and in the near future too, like all the cooking gas and everything else. So I just wanted to reinforce all that you must have been told here, and to say to you where it's important that we focus, and let's move to set up the committee. Zulfi, you spoke about that, right? Oh, you didn't speak much about it. Well, we can talk about that. How we select this committee that will work with us to ensure that the farmers, the real farmers, the people who actually need the help, they get the help. So that any blame that's apportioned, we're sharing this blame now, from now on in the future. We're doing the same thing with the fishermen. They have to publish their names and tick off and sign off, because next thing the president announced some help. Everybody start becoming a fisherman. Man who got a little hook and stuff like that, he suddenly putting down his name. He got one fish in his whole life. Yeah, but I'm a fisherman too, so you gotta define what fisherman means, because I catch a fish up at one time in my life, So that's how, when money is being shared or any help, that's how it becomes. So let's talk a bit about that. Let's get this, and then we'll listen to you about other issues. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and comrades, you heard the VP. We have pledged $100 million for fertilizer for farmers. I think that we'll ask that the meetings held in the area rather than nominate the committee here, because we'll have more farmers in the area, for example, like one Wakenham, an area on the coast. So between now and weekend, we can have the meetings in the community, and we can have the in the community be named, at least 2 representatives from each community. The vice president would have said in the other area we nominated about between 20 to 25 persons. We can do the same here or reduce it to 15 or something like that, because last year you cultivated 17,000 acres of rice. This year I was just telling you about the land and so we'll work together. Also, we'll have to have some for the cash crop farmers. And the cash crop farmers, we'll have to also work with them. So I will pause here. I'll now open the floor. You want to raise any issue? There's a mic going around. You can stand up and raise the issue. So who will be the first? Yeah, you got the mic?
Good afternoon, fellow farmers. Honorable Minister of Government, and most importantly, First Vice President, Honorable Dr. Jagdeo. It has been a pleasure attending this meeting here with you farmers. As has been said by the Minister and the First Vice President, also Comrade Priya Manichan, who I know personally, her parents are dedicated farmers, and she said that is how she ended up being the Minister of Education. It comes out of hard work, and that hard work begins from 5 o'clock in the morning and sometimes before. But before it slip me, let me go back to Mr. Siraj. Most of the farmers here who have benefited from the service of the Honorable Mr. Siraj, very few of us take time to say it is because of Siraj we have reached this distance and are coming close to our destination of completing our journey. You know why? A co-op was set up to actually assist Mr. Hack in purchasing farmers' paddy. Something went wrong and the farmers were not paid. I emphasize, comrade, farmers did not pay. How would they go back to the rice field? Mr. Siraj, with his initiative, approached probably Dr. Jagdeo. I think he was the president. And a formula was worked out. And those farmers were paid. I told my colleague, if the government had changed, and it did change, I am saying on behalf of myself, they might have never been paid. Thank you, Mr. Siraj. Mr. Zulfikar, that is my main purpose of coming here. Give me 1 more minute. Is to tell you that I am in this rice industry from birth. And things are not working. Why things are not working? I'm the minibus chairman. And every day I would get complaint that friends and family and crony. And I jumped on the bandwagon this election to ensure that those things are stopped. I'm watching in the eyes of Dr. Ashley Singh. I know what you passed through, sir, prior to becoming back in the government again. A good setup that I've been interacting with the farmers is to have 2 farmers in every village. As I stand here, I can tell you that Blankenburg has 750 to 800 acres. And I can tell you from the public road to the conservancy, who is the farmer on that land. And those are the people we need in every village to sit and that could have to work very fast. Because last week I called to speak to the minister, Mr. Bush Award, and I'm trying to hurry out because I'm being called upon. But time, Mr. Ramraj, I want to know how they're going to set up the system, because it might not reach the small man. The small man like me with 25 acres or 30 acres. The fertilizer should not be given free, Mr. Jagdeo, because we're going to end up like what happened. Anything free is not good and would not last long. Fix it at a price that the people could afford to buy. Around 3,000. Use the window of the money, or the money comes in to purchase drugs or to set up road, whatever. I can continue until tomorrow morning. Mr. Dharamlal at Malbai, I know the road, the shoulders of the road used to be repaired by graders grading off the earth. I'm seeing it now as the minibus chairman along the roadside. Pools of water, a brand new road I can remember as a small boy driving my car. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, the thing is, there are lots of issues, and you're right, but we don't want to pick the people here. So although you may know everybody, I'm hoping that they will pick you from that area, but we don't want to pick anyone here, right? Right, yes, they want the people to pick whoever will represent. All right, and thanks for the kind words to the government and to people here. Yes, let's go to the other.
Honorable Vice President, members of the head table. This is a significant day today that all of the members and senior members of the cabinet are here to address issues affecting farmers. Indeed, the most troubled farmers in this part of the world today are the rice farmers. Life has never been so difficult. The challenges are numerous. Issues confront farmers every single day they awake, and some of them don't even sleep. Because the vicissitudes of the weather, the escalating costs of production, the uncertainties of everything, which includes the pricing. And of course, we admit that it is beyond the control of many of us. They say it's a force majeure. But Your Excellency, the figures don't add up. The figures simply do not add up to give comfort to a rice farming family. They have said that sugar is king, and if sugar is king, Your Excellency, then rice is queen. Because rice is cultivated from Crabwood Creek to Charity, involving thousands of families. And long ago, we used to have rice farming families. Now, we hardly have the families because the youngsters don't want to go back. They challenge you, show me a good reason. There are not many good reasons. Because if you cannot afford comfort in your life through dedication, loyalty, hard work, and sacrifices, then what are you doing? Your Excellency has a habit of making a difference on your visits. True to form, you've never failed. Today, you've come with a package. But from what we know of you, the package is a little less than we expect. Your package, you see, has always been magnanimous to the caring needs of the people. And the people today, especially the rice farmers, they need you now more than ever before. You have to come to the front and lead us ashore. You're drifting aimlessly at sea.
It is to be more interactive. When you have two microphones working, you can be more interactive. And that's what we're here to listen and talk and explain. So my point is, if there is a package, maybe I didn't announce all of it here today, but if we don't, what is the lifeblood of farming? And particularly rice farming. It is drainage and irrigation and farm-to-market roads. But that's a lifeblood. Forget later the cost of input. We'll come to that in a moment. If we don't address water-related issues, you mentioned climate change, and well, it's force majeure, it is something beyond our control. But if we don't address that issue, then no matter what other help we give, if we flood out every crop, then the farmers are back to a situation where many of them have loans, they can't pay the loans, they're in trouble at the bank, they can't go back to the crop. So we decided, we had done this for the Mahaica, the Mahaica-Myconia Bari areas. I remember going with Dr. Jagan in the early days into the Mahaica-Myconia creeks, and we see the massive flooding. And you know what it was caused by? The government. Because we had no choice that when the Conservancy Dam was threatened, and the dam would break and flood out the whole East Coast or Georgetown, you had to release the water into the Mahaica Creek. We couldn't put all of the water into the Demerara River. Once you did that, it flooded Mahaica-Myconia Bari, tens of thousands of acres of rice. And because of a government action, you just release the water. And that is why we built the Hope Canal. $16 million US. Everybody said, the APNU was opposed to it. The same GHRA that is opposed, Mike McCormack, to everything. They're a human rights organization. They issue a statement against the Hope Canal. Right, and it was reckless. The Guyana Association of Professional Engineers said it will never work. We built it. First persons to turn it on was up in 2015. Quiet. We have never had to release water with all this rainfall back into the Mica River, Mica Creek, and flood those farmers again. Or else every crop we would have had to do. So we decided, although we had to deal with the pandemic, we brought farmers from the regions 2, 3, 5 and 6 to the convention center, and we laid out a plan that will probably cost us $500 million US, $500 million, to address flooding in a systemic way, where we solve the problem once and for all. In the Pomeroon, you see a contract to dredge the mouth of the Pomeroon, and we sent in a pontoon there with excavators, and later we'd start empouldering. Here in Region 3, we've started mapping out what we need to do. Region 5, I was there a couple of days ago. I met with the farmers at MMA. We spoke about that, and 6. So this will be a lot of money. That's the package too. That's part. It's not visible to you here today. But if we don't fix that, you don't really, every season you'll be flooded out. So we got to look at that. Then the increase in farm to market roads. We're spending probably 3 times, 4 times more than APNU spent. And we bought a ton, and we're ordering a ton of equipment. But I mentioned to you before, sometimes it takes now with COVID and the factories closed, it may take us till mid next year to get the bulldozers and stuff to grade and shape the farm to market road. Because we can't do concrete roads there or asphalt, and we don't even have those in the communities. So we're buying equipment. We bought much more. We have a number of excavators came in already since we got into office. We're deploying them. We have several pumps. How many pumps will be? 40 pumps. So this is part of the plan too, the package. So I hope you understand that. It's not just coming and making an announcement here. It's fixing the crucial things, and definitively. So then on the cost of input, that's what we're trying to help here with. But in many cases, when I look at the cost of what's the biggest cost on Essequibo Coast, yes, the cost of fertilizer went up, and we now going to help with that. But the rentals, like it's for $40,000 per acre. So when you have to pay $40,000 per acre per year or crop, so per crop, when you rent land at that price, you have to make a lot of money to pay that back. That's the biggest cost. That nothing to do with us. You understand? So that's the biggest problem there. So you can rest assured that this package is just one element, what I said about today here. It's just one element, and that rice farmers can count on us. I don't want to go through and spend a long time, but there are many other things. When we remove the tax on pesticides, on fertilizer, on machinery and equipment, if you were buying a tractor or a combine, on the APNU you had to pay $5 million more in taxes. $5 million in taxes. Because they put on that tax that wasn't there. We remove all of that. So, trust me, and I think you know it where the heart lies. Because we see agriculture is important for our country. They think it is a race thing. It has nothing to do about race. This is about our country, its stability, our future. And that is why they didn't pay enough attention to it. So yeah, go on. You use
Yes, Your Excellency, sure that you brought the package, and indeed you brought the package. True to form, as you've always been. But just a food for thought. What about subsidies for the farmers in terms of fuel and other inputs? Is that a possibility in the future? That would then matter. Thank you.
So, right now we remove the taxes. The problem, we're very scarred by this fuel thing. Let me tell you, there are lots of people. And I remember sitting in a meeting with Dr. Jagdeo one time, listening. And they said in the early period, they used to give subsidized fuel. And a lot of the farmers stopped being farmers and started selling fuel. You remember that period in the past? Once we get it, that is why this fuel business is a troublesome. And once you do it, everybody, the taxi guy and everyone. And then where are we going to subsidize it from too? It's got to be the same money that we may have to put in for the farm to market roads or buying more equipment for it. So that's why we have avoided it like the plague. Anything to do with maybe 30,000, 40,000 people having to then come and tell you how many acres they plant and how much fuel they do is a nightmare to administer. It was the corruption they said that was involved in that early PPP government was enormous. And so we are trying to avoid a lot of these things where you can have that. That was the main reason.
Good day, member of the head table. Good day, Jagdeo. Sir, we the farmers in this West Bank area, we had 6 coca operating from Freedom Hoop to the bridge. They closed 3 of this coca, and that is why we getting all this flooding. If you could put your engineer and see how much abandoned land got now for the here to the bridge. For instance, Port Wine section, that Alveda Road which you could drive in, and 25% of the land can't plant now because of this coca that they cook.
Close up. Line up. Let's take the mic. This is the head of DNI.
Good afternoon. The area specifically that you're talking about is more north of E-line. So we plan to add pumping capacity at Coglan Dam and Good Fortune. Those 2 locations.
Yeah, go.
Yes, sir. Inside, we need the trench them in the area to be cleaned properly. Last year, government cleaned the Port Wine Milwa with one high mark both sides. Excellent job. And we see now worker clean, and you got 2 banks side there. So the Milwaukee black up, they can't clean them properly. The ranger, the regional chairman, everybody is
All right, listen. Let me turn this off. So let's try to resolve this because this maintenance has to be ongoing. With this rainfall, the bush go quickly, they'll just stop. I was saying at Canal, I went to my father's land in Unity, clean it up. I thought it would last a long time. It's back in bush already at the back there. So it goes quickly. So we now have launched a part-time job scheme across the country. We're going to do that today. We are here to launch that too. So for the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks, they'll be recruiting people. You work for $40,000 a month, 10 days. So a lot of people from the area, we can utilize them. Not just men, but women. If you have a health facility, they can help out here, get a job. If you have a school, they can help at daycare and a lot of places. But if you have people in the communities, we may be able to put them on the scheme so they can just clean routinely. They don't need to award contracts. So if you have, like say in your area, maybe 20 people who are on this scheme, then they can clear the canals on an ongoing basis because they only have to work for 10 days stuff. So let us work to deploy this scheme across the region. The regional chair is here too, right? So we gotta see if we can use it, but don't put on this scheme only people to clean canals. They have to go into public buildings and help at the hospitals and everywhere else we wanna do. So it's gonna be between 1,000 to 2,000 people, depending on how many we get here. Okay? Now we'll employ. All right, let me give somebody else a chance now. You get a chance because I gotta go to Zelo 2. You get a chance. Take your name. Here, if anybody wants me, now I forgot to say this. Anybody want us to follow up on any issue? So we find that when we go out, that people raise matters, but because you can't remember everything, we need to go call them later. So give your name and number. Now it could be any issue that's affecting you. If you believe the road bad in front in your community, just give us your name and number. We put in place a unit at the office of the president. They will call you back and find out what the issue is. If you have an NIS issue, it's a land issue, housing, they apply for a house lot, all of these issues. Wherever I've gone, people want to raise these matters. So the people are here now. They should be here by now. They came back from Canal. Where they? Oh, look at the back there. They're all stand up there. Give them your name and number. So you don't have to raise those issues here. Because if you raise them, we still have to, we want to remember all of the issues. So you go do it. So please give them your name and number. We can call you back and get more details. All right? Let me give some others a chance to speak.
Good afternoon, everybody. Minister, Agriculture Minister, Secretary, and Vice President. The issue that we have in, we had an election for the water user at Parika, Barchanoja, and Lamrick. Had never resolved until today because no handover until now. That is one of it. The Barchanoja, Philadelphia Coca open as it feel like right now I have 6 acres rice over 30 days, half of it died because of flooding.
So the issue is with the water users election, we had concern in the community. They said that they had issue with the election. We sent our legal officer to investigate it. He submitted a report last week and he said that there was no major issue. We can go ahead and form the board. I asked NDIA to go and install the water user board. We will do it very shortly.
You got a mango there too? You got a mango there? Yes.
Anyhow,
okay.
Minister also gave us an excavator in the NDIA excavator. 1 day work, 2 week breakdown. No kind of work can be done out of it. Right now, present now is done.
All right. So okay then. All right. Thank you. So you all make sure, Lionel, that you go and visit and check the excavator. All right then. Rice mill?
Barchanoja Rice Mill. Mr. Bola had rented out the mill and we want the mill that we can end up to install it, that we can carry for the mill.
Whose rice mill is this?
This is a co-op rice mill rented without the member know anything of it.
It's in court?
No, nobody knows what goes on about it. Every meeting that we have with Minister, we raise this topic. Nothing comes out of it.
All right. So, what's the status on this? See, Raj, what's going on here? Huh? So, all right. So we should have a meeting with the co-op.
Thank you. This is a co-op rice mill that is owned by farmers. There was a management board, and the management board will normally look after the management issues. Over the last 10 or 12 years, they have encountered some difficulties, financial difficulties, in terms of the recovery, in the processing of the paddy, and that led, I don't know who took the decision. The farmer is claiming that it was probably done unilaterally by the chairman, but I know that the decision was taken at some level to rent out the mill in an effort to get financing because of the difficulties that they were in. So, Mr. Vice President, it appears to be an internal problem with members of the co-op society, whereby one, if the allegation is true, then the chairman probably would have done things his own way. But the chairman is here, he could answer, sorry. Bola. Come now, don't hide behind there.
That table. In connection with the farmers about like rental bill, the mill was in a bad state. Farmers that bring paddy, the man will decide. The farmer, they not bring paddy, the paddy because the mill close. So Mr. Shiraz decided to rent the mill and go to develop a mill by the farmer paddy. But so things happen because that's in a daughter by doing development.
So is this mill buying the paddy? It's not buying the paddy. So if the condition was to utilize the mill to improve greater market for the farmers and he's not fulfilling that, then it's a breach of the contract. Is it not so? You have a contract? and the contract says that the mill should be operating. Well, then you all got to look at it, get a lawyer to examine. The co-op could get a lawyer to examine this. We could help you with the lawyer and then examine the terms of the contract that you've signed. Okay? And we'll do that and then see what are your rights and what are his rights. But it should have been a functioning mill so that it would have been performing. If it was performing, then you probably wouldn't have had a problem. They were buying the paddy and everything else. But no, I don't want to litigate the issue here. Let us get a lawyer to examine the contract. Actually, you'll arrange this. Arrange a lawyer for them to look at the contract and advise them, and let's continue. All right? Okay, let's, at the back here. Let's come right here. On the same matter? Okay, all right. Once it's not that matter, we're not going back on this matter. Yes. Give them the microphone, please.
Pleasant good afternoon to each and everyone here. Mr. Vice President, welcome to Region 3. It's a pleasure to have you here. When you come in an area, we see a change. There's a glimmer of light and hope when you come. We talk about the king of Guyana, that's King. We talk about the queen. I think it's time for me to talk with the ordinary man. And I will start from my village, Good Fortune. The forest housing scheme will develop on the west bank of the Amaris Good Fortune. And it is in a deplorable state, sir. The main access trench that drain the village, well over 15 years now, it ain't clean. All the roads in Good Fortune are in a deplorable state. We have a nursery, we have a primary, we have a community high. I want to know if Good Fortune is Region 11.
Well, I know, I've gone to Good Fortune a few times too, and I know working with communities what it was too. I've seen changes there, but if I'm surprised that the main drain has not been cleaned in 15 years. I don't know if it is true, but if it's clogged up, it should be clear. I'm not here to prove no story. Let us clear the main drain, Zulfi. Right? Let's clean. You have 6-year roads there, and you're not telling me the whole story. You're talking about king and queen. Housing said they did six roads. All right. I don't want to hear everybody saying now what they did. So let us make sure we can go. We look at the roads. As I mentioned to you, we have a lot of roads. We assigned $2 billion in this year's budget for community roads in this region. The backlog is huge every area. Rainfall, all of that, neglect. So we can't fix every road at this time. We're going to increase that budget significantly. Later this year, we're going to a supplementary budget for the Parliament to increase the amount of roads. So let Indar please visit Good Fortune. Indar is assigned to Region 3, and he's also Minister in the Ministry of Public Works. So Indar, visit there, and please let's clear this canal in the area. That's what. I don't want to take on too many things and overpromise. And sugar, about king and queen and stuff, sugar and rice have been the lifeblood. I don't like to characterize about king and queen and all of that on ordinary people. Everyone is valuable to us, including in the Good Fortune, whether you live in Good Fortune, etc. That's all. That's an area that we hold dear to. So eventually we'll get things done there. All right, one more. Give him back the microphone, Seated. Go on.
Yes, sir. I have an issue going on at Brilliant Hoop, which I know when you was the president of the country, you carried a bill to Parliament that no one can acquire transport, road, drains, dam, trench, government.
I know some guy named Best.
Free Best.
Yes, I know about it. I heard about it. It seems as though the problem is intractable. People raise it, and I didn't personally pay attention. I thought it is, if it's on a public roadway, So what they're saying that he has a transport for the public road. I don't know, sometimes these things happen. We had in the deeds registry you had corruption. I don't know if this is the case. We'll examine it, and if it is going to the school and we need the land, we have to acquire it, actually, through compulsory acquisition. If we need it, if we can, block no road going to no school in this country. So let us examine this. If it's affecting the community access or it's a school, then we have to take steps to acquire the property. And if it's transported land, there is no other way, because you can't, people who transported land have rights. They have rights. You can't just go and take their land. Okay?
This thing passed in 2019. In 2019.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. But so, all right, we'll look at it.
Good afternoon, Vice President and Minister.
Yeah.
I'm from Lagwan. From the island Lagwan. We have a serious problem in Lagwan. We have Coca built 65 years Coca had sell back in do. We have no problem. But on slopes too.
And the people now
Mr. Lal, Mr. Lal, I talked to Mr. Lal several times. He and Mamani Paiso can actually own the whole place actually. The Coca, every time rent got rice, water on the rice bed.
So if, 1 minute, Lionel, if something is working for all these years, shouldn't we just replace it back with the same thing? Why do we need to change? If something is working, we don't fix it. We just maybe upgrade it, but we don't go and change things that work. Let me hear the engineer.
Yes, Mr. Vice President. Regarding the structure that he's talking about, of course, anytime you do a structure within the NDC or like the islands, you have to consult with the local authorities. And that is what we did, and they proposed for us to do a sluice. Now, the issues that we are having with self-acting door, during the middle of the night when these doors just come up, they're underwater all the time. And that's a difficult situation to fix. Every time you have those problems, you have issues to fix them, which result in flooding of the area.
So you hear it? Respond. Hold on. Give the microphone on. Give him back the microphone. So you hear what he's saying now.
That is right. We got the most rights, and we and Paiso can actually own the whole 2 village, 2 estate.
Yes, we right.
We have no problem like that. The problem is I spoke to Mr. Lal several times about this Coca because I have the idea that one of success. 18 years we operated before we start to get rights. 18 years free at the success. And we get a back door at success. I talked to Mr. Lal several times. Like one.
Mr. Vice President, you have the chairman is here. You have the NDC chairman is here. And they could confirm what I'm saying. You have one guy is opposing to an entire area. How is it that we're going to deal with a situation like that?
So if they've done this openly, we work on a process. So if the whole community wants this, most likely this is what they will do when they consult government. You understand how it goes? That's how governments have to operate. If one man say, I don't want this, and 50 say, we want it, most likely we will go with 50. You would do that too, if you were running the government. Right? Put on back. Put it on back. Put it on back.
The most important thing that this Coca never give us problem. 3 crop come when I get put rice. What's coming on there? You got rice. You gotta left my rice and come out. Can't cut my rice.
Well, listen what we do. So if we have somebody go and check his thing and see what he's saying, right? That's the best I can do. The Minister of Agriculture would send someone to check it out.
Vice President will build one at Henrietta, and Coca will work. One man benefit. Build this Coca on the public road. Make them to a funnel. Make a Coca to a funnel. And lift the iron door. Go and see the Coca at 3 sections.
All right, okay.
3 sections.
When you have the time, Zulfi, visit the island, Hold on a minute. Let Sulfi visit the island, have the community meetings with all the farmers, and let's hear their views, right? So I can't resolve the issue here, but I promise that he'll come, and then you mobilize the people, right? So let's go.
One more thing. Okay. Heimat excavator like one. They got 2 months to dig sand, a still sand, and 2 months now. 8 years, we got go to Bagam. Hundreds of cows. We got a mine. Then you know you got dam, you got
all right. All these issues could be resolved. I've not visited the island for a while too, so I gotta probably go myself. But Zulfi, let's see when maybe we could arrange it. But in the meantime, you can go down and look at this. So we'll look at all of these issues, all right, when we come to the island. So I'm not taking any more issue from the island, leg one, because you're going to get a visit there, okay? No, nothing. It's from leg one. You're not from leg one. All right, well then go ahead.
Good afternoon, Debo. Right. Good afternoon. Some of the issues that we face in rice is number one, fuel. I called yesterday the Shell company, and the fuel down to $1,400 a gallon.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier, right?
I was a bit late, I don't know.
You were late, all right.
Secondly, from Wind Safaris to Vrina Hoop, we don't have no coca, no pump, nothing.
We talked about that too, right?
That's good.
So I find out from the boys then, all right, yeah.
Number 3, we need more farm to market road. The minister was there.
Yeah.
He promised us some stuff to go on the existed one. We haven't got that promise.
Farm to market roads, we had a discussion.
Fourthly, the price every time rice ready for cut, the price to drop. The rice price to drop. When the rice done cut, right now, Lancaster raise the rice $600 bag money. How do people eat? Well, a little bag, $300 bag raise. The government need to look into this. Rice farmer need more assistance.
We need to look at whether, from what the committee is saying. Now, clearly the prices have gone up, and so we have higher inflation. Cost of living has gone up. I explained that at the other meetings. I didn't spend so much time about the factories that are closed, like cooking oil. Most of the world's supply come from Malaysia, Indonesia. They banned the export. The price of cooking oil now more than double because you can't get it. You see, in the US, they didn't have baby food. The president had to get the army to fly in baby food into the US. So a lot of the problems we have with inflation, prices going up. But the point you say that you just mentioned is an interesting point that we should examine. Whether it's price gouging and not normal inflation. Normal inflation there is an explanation for it. But price gouging is something that is not acceptable. Where they deliberately drop the price for the rice in the period before they buy the paddy, so as to offer a lower paddy price, and then subsequently, having acquired the paddy at a lower price, they then raise the price for the rice to get a bigger profit margin. So that is an important point you made that we'll have to investigate. Okay, it's a very good point, and I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that before. I've never heard it before actually, so we need to examine that. So we should examine if there is a pattern to that. It's a good point. All right, I have Zila to go to, so we can leave a couple of people more. Yes, go on this camera here. It's 3:10 already, so I'll spend another 10 minutes here. And then anybody who wants to raise any issue with me or get an issue followed up, give your name and number, and we'll follow up with you. There is a table there taking down names and numbers. Okay? All right then. Give this comrade here. No, give this comrade. I told him. And then we'll go to the other one there. Come. You wanted to say something too, so the two of you. I'll take the two of you before I go. All right, let him speak first. All right, the three of you. But don't bring more now. Just the three, yeah. Okay.
Yes. Vice Chairman, Ministers. I have a problem at Philadelphia Main Drain. From the plaza going up to, I think it's Longwood, 800 rods. 12 years ago, your government basically put a staff out there for two functions. One was to maintain their storage in the trench, and the second thing is to allow access to both sides of the sections, two sections. About a month ago, Mr. Lau told me that they want to remove the structure because I think someone had submitted a petition to remove the structure. Right? I think it's some 8 persons signed on the petition to remove the structure.
The structure, if it was there for a purpose, DNI should examine it whether it is serving that purpose, talk to the people in the area, and then, right, you want to talk to him, make sure that you get his name and number, and go visit. Let him visit. That's the best place to make a decision. I can't make no decision, I can't even imagine it. No.
But what I'm saying is that these 8 individuals claim that they planted rice beyond the summer, and that is not true.
Alright, when he comes there, take his number, he will explain all of that on the ground. Okay? Alright, the head of drainage and irrigation will come. This gentleman, and then you're the last person to take. Alright, one more issue, but no more. What issue you want, raise? Anybody, you're leg one? You're from leg one? We come into leg one. Don't worry with the leg one. Get this guy here. Leg one, you get the chance to see us.
I am a farmer in the West Bank.
Okay.
We was planting cane and then...
You didn't come to the last meeting?
I missed the canal meeting.
Alright, let him tell you what's up about the cane and what you were there.
In the short term, for the beeline plan, I was there at the convention.
Yes.
For the short term now, the rain is heavy. If we could get an educated on the beeline with benefit, irrigation.
Alright, let's examine it.
The other thing is that in the lightweight area where we moved from sugarcane to rice cultivation, there was a lot of control structures. We need some.
Alright, Dr. Lionel.
We need some.
Okay. Give your name to Lionel. Get this gentleman there and then I'll end up with him.
Thank you. Honorable Vice President, Mr. Jagdeo, glad to get to speak because I come from one corner.
Okay. You didn't come to the meeting here?
Yeah, but I didn't get it. I was told to come here to speak to the agriculture.
Oh, okay, alright.
I am from Guyanese State. I'm a cash crop farmer.
Okay.
Make it fast in time.
Yes, yeah.
We are being marginalized as against the rice farm. That is one. I visited the region everywhere possible just to get some attention. All we need, we have 35 young farmers, active farming. All we need is for a trench for the drainage. Now we have the merino, we have the
Alright, so you need a trench here. You got 35 farmers? Active farmers in the group?
The other farmers.
You know, when I was in Canal, I arranged for several groups to come and see me with the Minister of Agriculture. Bring the 35 persons, we will set up a meeting, we'll discuss it and try to resolve the issue. Within 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks. So give the Minister of Agriculture your name now and number. Right? So you bring them and we'll work through this. Alright, this man and then I'll end with you. Right, okay.
So, sir, from leg one.
Oh, leg one, you broke the thing, yes. Then leg one, alright, I'll give you a chance, yeah, okay.
We got 70 rod trench dig from December. Maybe the trench for 4 months. We don't know where the vice chairman or the chairman kept his cronies and give them the trench to clean. And he had to read the trenches, spray poison in the boat, we report the matter to the police. The police says under investigation. I'm carrying the man to court.
Okay.
Yeah, because he never weed the trench and we weed for 4 months, we don't know nothing about what happened. And the chairman, when we came and asked him what man, he said that somebody submitted some trench and the man old trench than me. And
Alright,
he
so we're going to get him to talk again. Alright, give this, then I'll have the regional chairman respond to that. Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm fine now. Right.
We're asking, we're asking for
all right, listen, can you come with that group?
Yes, sir.
I'll come with the group, right? When you're going to see me. Okay?
No problem.
All right, then. Regional chair, yes, and then we wrap up. What to get? Give him the microphone. Give the regional chair.
Vice President, I think he was referring to the NDC chairman because the NDC chairman awards pension like one to be, not the regional chairman.
Okay, all right. So it's the NDC. NDC chairman you're talking about? Or was it the NDC chairman you're talking about? Oh, all right, okay. We're going to examine it, all right? Right. We're going to check that issue. Give your name and number. You give the name and number. I can't follow up if you don't give your name and number. No, don't come and just raise the matter. Go and give your name and number so I can follow up and get answers to this. If you want me to get answers. No, or want the old man there. No. You come to the other meeting. You